Alright, you guys, so today I'm gonna be taking out my SD card in the back of my MPC. So that means no paid plugins, no samples, no loops, just all stock sounds that come with your MPC. So let's see if we can make something fire. Let's double tap menu to get to the browser, and the first thing I'm gonna do is just go to instruments and just find the sound that I like. Now what you're hearing aren't loops, these are just the previews of the sound, which is nice, but these are actually called multi-sample instruments. This is different from one shot. So basically with a multi-sample instrument, each note is being recorded one by one across the range of the instrument. Whether it's a piano, bass, guitar, or even synths that you're using, it's going to be able to sound natural when you play out the chords and the melodies. Versus a one shot like a piano note or a bass note, when you pitch it up or down too far, it's either going to sound too fast or just stretched out because that one note is just being worked. So if you've ever been wondering why your instruments sound weird across the keys, it's because it's not a multi-sample. So I'm gonna pick out a sound. They should have keys or piano, so I could just type that into the search engine, press keys, do it. Got a grand piano, that sounds nice. Now before I load that, all I want to do is just go back to main and swap this out with a key group. You don't always have to go to new track. You could just press this icon right here and then press key group and double tap menu and then press load. So from here I could just go to 16 levels, just double tap, and that's going to bring us to pad perform, and I could set my scale to C natural minor, and I'm going to start off with some bass notes. So I'm going to actually go down a couple octaves. You can also go down the octaves with the pad bank. So that brings it to the 0 range. So then we could double tap main to get to grid view. And I like to play octaves to get a more full sound, especially with pianos. So what we can do here is just hold down shift and then click select all, and then we could just press copy. It is going to go to the other side. All you have to do is just make sure you're on nudge and then scroll back over. And then go to transpose and then just bring it up an octave, C1. From here, now I just want to lay out some chords, so we could double tap 16 levels to get to pad perform. And then we could go to the chord tab, and I'm gonna just keep it on 1, 3, 5. And that just means that it's gonna be playing the standard triads, also known as the diatonic chords within your scale. So it's gonna be a major, minor, or diminished chord. It just depends on what note you're building the chord from. And if you're new to music theory, I actually have a whole video that goes more into depth on the chord function, so you can watch that after this. So I'm gonna just bring back up the octaves, and let's lay down some chords. Now here's the only thing when it comes to using the chord function on the MPC. If I zoom out, you can see that it plays the root position of the chords instead of the inversions. So what I'm gonna do here is just use the select tool. I'm gonna highlight these two bottom notes. So I'm gonna just bring these up, and I'm following the top note. So we could just do it right here. And this is how it sounds with the inversions. So now we can lay down a melody. Let's double tap 16 levels to get back to pad perform, switch from chord to notes, and let's just come up with an idea. All right, so that sounds cool, but the piano do sound a bit basic. So we're just gonna go back to main, and then we're just gonna click over here to get to our effects. So from levels, just hit effects, and then it already has a reverb on it. But what we're gonna wanna do is press this up arrow, and then if we turn this one on, this is actually an auto pan. We can just take that out. If you wanna like add more movement, think about delay. We're gonna just go to air delay, which is also a stock plugin. And it's actually a good one too. So let's hear it. And what you can do too is like have one part just be without the delay, and then for the second part of the hook, I would just probably have the delay on. But I'm just going to keep the delay on for right now, and I'm just going to add in another delay. So pretty much now I'm building from that sound. See, with the flam delay, it's not really adding more of a rhythmic style to it. It's just more so widening out the stereo fill. So when you hear it off, it's really night and day. You could bring down the mix if that sounds too dramatic to you. That sounds decent. So now the piano's sounding good, let's bring in another sound. So we're just gonna go back to main and then get out of this menu. And I'm actually gonna just press this pencil tool. So then I'm gonna just go to duplicate track with events. And that is just gonna copy the MIDI over to the next track. So you can see if I press grid view, it has the MIDI. And I could bring in a different sound. Let's just double tap menu, get out of the keys. And I actually like the string spiccato. Yeah, let's just load that in as well. And see, that one was actually quick. I didn't edit that. So it just depends on the range of the instrument. Sometimes when people do multi-samples, they don't just do all octaves, especially because certain instruments don't even go all octaves, like a piano. So let's go main and play it. So piano is a bit overpowering. Let's just hit our mix, and you can see that the key group is already set to be a bit higher. So let's just turn that down. Leveling is important, bro. I also want to take out this top portion as well, so the chorus and the melody, and just kind of do like a counter melody. So you still can play in the same range of the same frequency, but just have that contrast. We already have the piano like being strung out with the chords. We don't need our strings being strung out as well. So we can make something different. And we could even add effects to the string as well. Then we could just go back here, and it already got a large reverb on it. That's fine. Let's hit this plus tool, and from here, I'm gonna go with air diff delay. I like Galaxy though. Galaxy does make it sound very spacey, but we could just turn down the mix. We don't need too much of it. Let's keep the width up. Let's turn down the mix. Yeah, that sounds clean. And what we can actually do is go back to that piano, and we could replace this reverb. I don't really like this reverb sound, so we could just tap on it actually and go to air reverb. I like air reverb more than just the reverb plugin. We could just flip through these. That sounds hard. Let's go to mix real quick. Let's just do pan and volume, and I'm just gonna go 10. And we can add another sound. And I actually like this one pad in here. It's called Pad Fairlight. Yeah, modern Fairlight. And it just has that choir in it. So, you know, if you want something epic, you could definitely use that. Let's just load that in. All right, so that sounded good. Now time for the part we all been waiting for, to see, does the MPC have good stock drum sounds? You know, I know a lot of you guys that are beginner, you're thinking that you're gonna need all these different type of drum kits, and I'm telling you now, bro. Let me just show you actually. Let's just add in a new drum track. Press, you know, browse. And we're just gonna go to samples this time. I'm not gonna go to drums because the thing with drums is gonna be the drum kits. And let's say you load up a kit and you like the kick and the snare doesn't really sound that good, but the hi-hat, like, you don't wanna have to go through all that mess. At least in my workflow, I like to add my own samples and make my own kit. And I think you guys will get the most out of that too if you try it. So I'm just gonna go to samples. And then what I like to do is type in the name of the sound that I want, and then the genre, so snare trap. Come on, you heard that snare before, bro. You heard that snare. Come on, that's a regular trap snare. That's the original. So I like the snares from MC. Man, that's clean. So we could just load that in and let's look for like a bouncy type snare. Yeah, just right there. Come on, you heard that. You heard that. And then we could just go for our hi-hats. That's the one I'm looking for. That sounds nice. Let's see if they got some rim shots. Play with the beat. That roll is nasty though. Yeah, that's fire. But that's a clean rim shot right there. Let's load that in. And I actually like to have two hats, so let's actually go back and find another hat. So we got our sounds. So that's a good start from right now. As far as the kicks, I know some of these samples have the kick and the 808 together, so we're just gonna save that for last. I'm just gonna lay down a basic hi-hat pattern so we can double tap note repeat, so we could just be able to hold it down instead of holding down note repeat as well. And then we could just get out a note repeat, add this hi-hat. And let's add in our snares. So I actually want to roll. Yep. And we could even add effects to our hi-hats. We're gonna go back here, but this time I'm gonna hit the pad so that we can put effects on individual pads. It goes from showing track and then showing pad. Hit pad 3. When I have an idea in my mind of how I want it to sound, let's say I just want to cut off a bit of the highs in the hi-hat, I could just do that, but I could also flip through certain presets while I'm at it and see what works. See, that radio cuts out highs and you can see it from here. Maybe too much, so we can just come back up a bit. And for that other one, we could just add an effect. We could just do a diff delay. Let's hear how that would sound. If I was to solo that second hat, here's how that effect sounds, bro. So you can also hold down to turn it off. Right? And then with it on. That's all it needs sometimes, bro. Just a little dizzle dazzle. I don't know. All right, so now we locked in. Let's get in that 808. And all we're gonna do is just pull up a new track, key group, and we get out of that, go into key groups. And we're just gonna type the same thing, you know, type out the sound you want, which is the 808. I'm gonna keep it trap. Come on, bro. That's it already. I ain't even gotta think too much. Let's load that in. Let's double tap mute. and that's going to bring us to sample edit mode. We want to go to the second screen, and we can see that the key is in E, so we need to change our root note to E so that it can be synced to our project and we can use it with pad perform. But then also we got to go to track edit and switch from note on to one shot, so we could just hit it and it will play. Now you hear it's not playing anything because for some reason it's like you still got to go to sample and then load it in from here. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. I'm gonna find a workaround for that. But for now, you just scroll all the way down to your 808. And now you can play it. And we can even add an effect to the 808. So the effect that I would just do is just the MPC 60. And I like the MPC 60 because it just gives it grit and it also gives it a bit more low end. Alright, so if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. So for that, I'm going to give you guys a bonus and I'm going to arrange this beat real quick. And what I mean real quick, I mean real quick. I'm going to actually show you a way that I'm going to start practicing more. And you're just going to go to main and we're going to go to the arranger. So you can see this is a 4-bar loop. We're just going to press edit and just double the length. And just double the length a few times. Don't have to double it too much because we're not in double time, so 128 bars is a lot. Now from here, I'm just going to go to my mutes. And for those that have been on the MPC, you see where I'm about to go with this. And we're just going to turn on our automation because this is how you're going to be able to record the mutes in the arranger. I'm just going to mute the sounds that I don't want to play for the intro. Now you don't want to press overdub and play start or record and play start. You don't want to press any of those. In my experience, it just kind of messes it up. So you're just going to press play start when you're ready. So let's just go. All right, so you get the point, man. You just vibe out to it and then make sure you turn off right because if you don't, you're going to mess up your whole project. And then we can just hear it back. And remember, like I said from the beginning, you could turn off some effects for certain parts, and you could also take out some of the melody of the piano and the strings. So then it just becomes a game of that with the mutes. Man, you're gonna make fire beats, bro. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, share with your other producer friends, and peace.